In the months leading up to Jesus' death, the apostles were not prepared to lose their teacher and be left in charge of the spreading of his gospel. They lived in denial for months with a dull worry that they did their best to ignore. This fearful attitude is not what we are supposed to foster. Instead, our relationship with God is to be utilized to change our fear into determined confidence. And we can learn to allow the assured love of God to override that which has us feeling anxious. But for the apostles, they were nervous. And when Jesus died, they were miserable. Putting Jesus to death was not, in and of itself, a good thing. The governing rulers did not do a good thing. Remember, any experience is only as good or as bad as what you make of it, how you fold it into your life. And Jesus took this thing, his impending death, and strategically embraced it, seeing it as an opportunity to highlight the teachings that so many people struggled to understand, putting the apostles into a better position to communicate what he was trying to teach them. When he was resurrected, they knew that when he told them that their lives were so much bigger than their material flesh, that his Father has many mansions, that he meant it. And Jesus could do that. He could go to such an extreme to teach a good lesson because he knew that the value of an experience is what we make of it. And he knew that something good would come from his death. He would be able to emphasize the love your neighbor teaching, and the Spirit of truth would be able to enter the minds of all. But the apostles didn't see the value, not right away at least. Sometimes it takes us a little while to see the big picture. Sometimes we go through phases of extraordinary stress, seemingly all by ourselves. Sometimes we go through them on a global scale, but no matter how many people are experiencing the pain and the anxiety along with us, we can be prone to poisoning our minds with fear for the short term. But I am wondering, is fear a necessary path? My dad, who's been studying the Urantia book for more than 30 years, was recently diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And in the days leading up to the start of his chemo treatments, he said to me, "You know, people who are afraid of death seem to develop a real fighting drive to avoid it. But I'm not afraid. So how do I develop that fight?" God transforms our minds. If fear is how our animal bodies react to external conditions, then God can transform that initial fear into something better and more reliably useful. The Urantia book states that the sparks of God within us would like to change your feelings of fear to convictions of love and confidence. But they cannot mechanically or arbitrarily do such things. That is your task. In executing those decisions, which deliver you from the fetters of fear, you literally supply the psychic fulcrum on which the adjuster may subsequently apply a spiritual lever of uplifting and advancing illumination. We supply the psychic fulcrum, as in we have to decide things like to engage in healthy psychological practices. This Easter, if you are going through a time of stress, do not dwell on fearful thoughts, but decide to work with God to focus on the big picture, the lessons learned, the values gained, the character traits developed. And God will lift up those thoughts to illumine your mind, bringing in love and confidence.